Welcome to the Marketing Madmen. Trip Job and Nick Constantino here, live on Season 4 from the Battery. And, you know, we're going to have a little fun today. One of my favorite topics.
Yeah. Becoming one of mine, to be honest with you. Yeah.
You're hooked.
You know, as I become more Southern, I tell people all the time, the difference is in New York, we used to just beat the golf kids up because we were real athletes. But now all of a sudden I'm like, wait a second, this is much harder than I thought it was. Basketball is pretty easy. Hitting a freaking 9-iron 145 yards in the wind is not as easy. So we do have a guest today, Mr. Jamie Arnold. Jamie is a PGA golfer out of Australia and the founder of Golf House Academy. Jamie, how you doing, bud?
Doing great, guys. Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
We also had to hit a quota in Season 4 of most accents in a season, so we're going all over the world.
Okay, we're starting strong.
We're going all over the world. And Jamie and I had the pleasure of meeting at his location, and I think I complimented and insulted him at the same time, and we had a really fun conversation. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Golf House. I think we should let's start with a broad conversation. So I'm going to ask you a question. And we'll go off that. What do you think would surprise people most to learn about the life of a PGA player?
That you have to pay for everything. Everybody thinks it's free and you're on vacation every week, but
you got to pay to get in tournaments too, don't you?
PGA Tour, you don't. Corn Ferry Tour, it's like $100 a week, which is not too bad. Most tours have a little fee, but you know, if you're not on the PGA Tour, it's pretty much like being on vacation every week. So it's expensive.
Okay, so it's expensive. So you're paying to play, but you're playing great courses. You're competing. There's always a pot. So what do you enjoy the most about it? What part of it? You know, how long have you been a member of the PGA now?
So I've been a member of the PGA of Australasia since 2007. I've been members of PGA Tour China, won Asia, the Asian Tour, played a little bit of European Tour, just a tiny bit, and mainly the Corn Ferry Tour from like 2016 through 2022. So in answering your question, probably the best thing is the people you meet and the places you get to go see. Like I've been fortunate enough to, I know more about America than Australia probably. I've traveled to pretty much every state in the States except for the Dakotas.
Yeah, you're not missing anything there.
And sorry,
there's probably four. I think there's 4 courses in the Dakotas.
So definitely the people you meet, the friendships, and you know, you get to play some really nice golf courses too. So that's always been a real fun part of it too.
What's your favorite thing about America? So you've been here now, you've come over, you've seen a lot of it, probably more than I have, to be honest with you, from what you've seen. Does it surprise you how much America changes when you go from one coast to the other and one state to another? What surprises you the most about traveling around?
Yeah, you really just answered my question. It's unbelievable. It's almost like different countries, like New York to Louisiana to Utah, up to, you know, from Southern California up to Northern California, Florida. I mean, everywhere is completely different. I remember my first year we went to Louisiana. It was not bad. I'm trying to think where it was.
Louisiana is its own country.
That's for sure.
But I mean, I couldn't understand them talking. It was just their accent was that Cajun kind of Southern. So that's what's unique. It's like, it's just very different where you go. I mean, you got from New York, I can pick New York out straight away. That's same as like a Georgian or a Florida. I don't know if it's great. But.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's fun.
Awesome.
So, what about what's your favorite course in the States that you've got a chance to play?
It's kind of like a loaded question, I suppose. I mean, my favorite courses in Atlanta, Druid Hills. And as an everyday golf course to go and have fun with great people, that's my number one. Peachtree is obviously a treat when you get to go and play there, just because it's in great condition. It's never too busy. In the whole of the United States, I've probably got like 3. I really like, geez Louise, in Indiana. I'm losing my mind here. So the one in Pumpkin Ridge in Oregon is probably is always a really, really great event. There's a great course, you know, like Diamond Creek in North Carolina is amazing. TPC Sawgrass is always a really fun time. And I'm losing my mind, but there's a course that we played in Indiana. I'm trying to
not
think.
crooked stick.
No, it's not crooked stick. I'll think of it here in a second, but
Okay.
It'll come to you at a weird time.
It's probably the hardest course that we play all year on tour.
So I got to play the semi-public side of Pumpkin Ridge. I guess there's two courses there.
Yeah, there's the Ghost.
So I didn't get to play the other one, but I played it probably 8-10 years ago, and absolutely spectacular course.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and just the weather's so nice. There's those real old trees, so like you're not getting a 7-iron and banging over a tree. Like if you're in the trees, you're chipping it out, and it's just a real fun.
And do you base that on the experience you had, the people you were with, or is there like qualifications of a course? Like when you get out there, you're like, okay, this did this, this did this. As a PGA guy, I saw this things that I really like, or is it just like I had a blast with my buddies? That's why this is my favorite. No,
I think like just course condition, and just you kind of know like golf courses that are kept up well, that have got good greens, that have held events. Like Pumpkin Ridge that's where Tiger won the US Amateur. So like they're built for tournaments. Some of the
Women's Open was there.
Yeah. So they're kind of built for events. So there's like no problem getting accommodation. Flying into there is really easy. Parking, they've got not just a little car park for the members, they've got off-site, overflow park. So just kind of everything that rolls into it. And then obviously the people make it. So some of these towns that you're in, we're in smaller towns than the PGA Tour. Right. Lafayette was the one I was talking about, Louisiana earlier. But the people in the communities that get behind the events, like the landings in Savannah, the community there is unbelievable. They have over 200 volunteers. The military appreciation days on Saturdays. So there's just a lot of really unique things. So it's not just the golf course, it's also like the community getting behind it and making us feel like we want you guys to be here, and they enjoy watching the golf, and it's kind of like I
bet you that's why you haven't named a course in New York or the Hamptons, because they don't do a good job of making you feel like you're welcome up there. Well, I think get the hell out of here. Like if you're in the Hamptons or in like Montauk, all those courses, they're like, nah, we don't want you here. Exactly.
We don't really. I think we just got our first event on the Corn Ferry Tour last year up in New York State. We used to have one up in near Finlay Lake. That was the only event we had in New York State, which was fun. But that one was July 4 week. It's a really tricky
on
to
the
get
lake,
to.
For sure.
So
what do you think since 2007? I know golf has changed. I've seen it change. I've seen the lifestyle come. What do you think has changed the most about it? Because that'll lead us into the next conversation, really about Golf House and where the opportunity arose. But what do you think has changed the most about the sport, both lifestyle-wise, publicity-wise, and then actually playing-wise?
I mean, first thing that pops into my mind is like these kids, like when I say kids, they're getting so much better, so much younger. So like when I was growing up, if you were like 22 or 23 and you burst on the scene, you were considered pretty, young. Now, you've got guys like Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, Scotty Scheffler. Like these guys have come out playing tour events when they're 16, 17, and they're major champions at 21, 22. I mean, I couldn't imagine.
There was one or two a decade that came out at 20, right? Until we got in the last, 10 years or so.
Yeah, now it's like just rinse and repeat. I mean, I feel like every week we're looking at, there's a headline like youngest player to make a cut in a major, like 16. We got youngest player to win a Corn Ferry event. Like it just keeps getting younger and younger.
Yeah, I heard for the Open last week, it was that the guy who was leading it was his first event ever. No one has won the first event that they've ever played since like 1918, something like that.
Yeah,
so those are stats
he's already in the top 10 in the world. He was playing college this time last year.
Would you, and this is going to sound like an ignorant comment, and I don't care because I'm new to this, would you attribute that to the Tiger Woods effect? Was that the impact that he made on golf that make all these kids at a young age be like, oh my God, that's something I want to do?
I mean, that's definitely the parallel. When you start hearing about everybody, they're like, Tiger was my mentor. Like, I looked up to Tiger. So, I mean, I think absolutely he's pushed golf into overdrive. I mean, even now at, 47 or 48? I mean, he still absolutely moves the needle. And I think his dominance was impressive, but also on top of that, I think now it pushed everybody to be like, hey, if we want to win, we can't be scared of other players. And I think that's where the correlation between these younger kids are now. They're not really intimidated by somebody that's been on tour for 5 years or 10 years, or like they're out there because they believe they're good enough, and they're like, hey, if I got to win, I got to beat all you guys. So I felt like Tiger, when he was in his dominant period there, there was only a handful of guys that really beat him. You know, like David Duval was competing with him week in, week out. He had Michael Campbell beat him down the stretch. But really, apart from a handful of those guys,
he had separated himself.
I mean, he 9.5 times out of 10, if it was Tiger and someone else, Tiger was on top.
Yeah, right. I find it fascinating that nowadays just the control these guys want. You know, Bryson DeChambeau apparently is dipping his balls in Epsom salt to see the spin, to make sure he's hitting them at the right angle. Like, don't know the legality of it, not really up on the rules, but he's making custom 3D printed clubs. He's using longest drive. I mean, he's doing everything in his power. Now, the problem is that if he misses bad. But when he's good and he's on, I mean, that's what happens.
Well, and he actually changed the face of his driver on Sunday on the range before he played, and it almost cost him.
I don't know, though. It's funny you guys look at it that way, because he might have had, and you might have think it this way, he probably had his gamer off, and he was hitting his practice one, so he didn't damage his gamer. So a lot of people probably thought, I'm assuming, I don't know this, but if it was me playing, I probably would have taken my gamer off and hit the other one and then put the gamer back on, because the last thing you want to do is crack the one that you've been using all week or for the last 3 months, and then put something on you haven't used. So
the interview I heard was he was actually, based on some of the dispersion, and he had noticed that some of the, you know, he's got the kind of offset curvature instead of the normal curvature, and it was starting to flatten. So that's why he actually changed the face.
Yeah.
And
it's crazy. I mean, he's got managers.
I mean, he is, and he's thinking about everything. I mean, he's just like the ultimate scientist. It sounds.
But that's what I said. When you're on, you're on. But when you're off and you're overthinking, and he's been out of cuts because he's been not even close. So that's the give and take of it. And remember, he also slimmed down. He was those broad shoulders, and like, no, this isn't helping you at all. So he slimmed down. I mean, it was a good win. So I think when we get back from the break, we're going to talk about Golf House Academy. I've been out there. It is awesome. It's great for the community. It's great to see it in town also, because a lot of these facilities are really more suburban. So we're going to talk about that when we get back from the break. You've been listening to the Marketing Madmen on Extra 106.3 with Jamie Arnold, member of the PGA and founder of Golf House Academy. We'll be right back.